Hello?
Hi, it's Julia.
Start video. Zoom would like to access your camera. Okay. And there we go.
Oh, thank you.
She should be able to hear you now.
Can you hear me, Julia? I think it's still,
No, I can hear you. I just had my
Can
mic.
everyone please mute themselves? Thank you.
Okay. Let's see it.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Yes, hello. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, can you just put a hand up in the air just so I can see? Perfect. All right, thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming this evening for our Executive Committee meeting for Committee Board 9. For those who have not met me before, my name is Fred Baptiste. I'm the chairman of Committee Board 9. I am now calling this meeting to order. The time is now 7:11 p.m. We are now going to begin the agenda. Just very briefly, I guess, this is our last meeting for the year. And I just want to thank everyone who's attended these past meetings. I want to thank the Executive Committee. I want to thank all the community members who have been with us as well and offered valuable, commentary and insights. And I think we've had a good year, a rough year, nonetheless, but I think it's been a good year. I've been very, very happy in terms of the progress we've made. With that being said, we know that there's a lot more work to be done. But we're going to commence with our Executive Committee meeting. We're going to set our agenda. We're going to discuss a few items as well, and then we are going to proceed on. So moving on to item number 2, We're going to move on to committee chair check-ins. All right, going down the list of committee chairs that I see, Ms. Caraballo, are you on the line? Can you, Mia, can you unmute Ms. Caraballo
Yeah, I'm here.
for housing report?
Hey,
How you doing, Alejandro?
good.
Do you have a report for housing?
I do. Hold on one second. Pulling it up.
Sure.
Hold on one second. So we had a meeting last Wednesday. We had full attendance. Assembly member Walter Mosley attended. I just it was the first meeting we've had since March, and I just wanted to kind of get a feel of what the issues were and what people have been experiencing while things have been going on. Alicia had brought up that there has been a major rent strike occurring in the community because of folks' just inability to pay rent right now with everything that's going on, and that people of color have been disproportionately affected by and socioeconomically and also health-wise by COVID. One of the things that we wanted to check with the exec community, and particularly you, Fred, is if we can continue to meet over the summer. One of my strongest concerns is that the CARES Act funding expires for the additional funding for unemployment expires in the end of July, which means that folks who had been making roughly similar or even more money through unemployment will suddenly see $2,400 less a month in income. And then 2 weeks later, the moratorium on evictions ends. And so it could kind of create a perfect storm for an eviction crisis by the end of August. Additionally, while the moratorium has been in effect, it's only if a demonstrated, if a tenant can demonstrate that their hardship has been due to COVID or unemployment, which places a burden on the tenant, meaning that they are still able to be noticed and landlords can file eviction proceedings for non-payment of rent, even with the moratorium, because the tenant now has the burden placed on them to demonstrate that their hardship is due to COVID or non-payment or unemployment. As of tomorrow, the housing courts open back up. So that means that eviction notices could start going out fairly quickly once the clerk's office opens back up and they start processing new filings for non-payment proceedings. So, you know, by the end of this month, we could start to see a lot of folks in the community getting eviction notices, or not eviction notices, sorry, I should say, notices to appear in housing court for non-payment of rent. And so I feel that with, you know, this kind of looming crisis, I think it would be necessary for the housing committee to continue meeting over the summer to help address any issues we can. Additionally, I've been needing to get into contact with local electeds and NHS to establish to do a webinar on resources for housing court and anybody affected, and generally for people to know their rights. I apologize, I have not had as much time. My work life has been extremely hectic with a major Supreme Court ruling and a Health and Human Services rule dropping last Friday. So I have been nonstop working in my day job. So I have not had as much time. But I'm going to try and organize that webinar as soon as I can. And so I think that's kind of a summation for the most part. I think there was some discussion about calling 311 to get some help from HRA for potentially to get one shots, but there was some uncertainty as to whether that needed to be involved in a court proceeding or not.
All right, thank you very much for the report. Actually, as long as I have you on, do you have anything for a search committee or? If not, that's fine. I mean, we've been going through a pandemic.
Search committee,
Absolutely.
search committee has not met.
Okay, that's fine. All right, and we'll discuss that a little bit later on when we get to my chairman's report as well.
Okay.
All right, but thank you very much. Actually, before I let you go, are there any questions for the housing chair? And just in terms of housekeeping. So if you have questions, we're going to ask, if you please use the raise hand function on the right-hand side, which, you know, I think the team has already identified where it is. If you cannot use the raise hand function, if you can put your name in the chat that you have a question. At the end of that, then we'll also try and unmute mics temporarily, just so we can see if we can catch questions from those who are on the phone. Okay. I'm going to take a very quick list, and we're not going to be able to spend a lot of time, but let me see. I see Ms. Boyd. Hold on one second.
That's the only hand I see raised.
Thank you very much. Could you please unmute Ms. Boyd?
Michael Hollingsworth was saying that it's not supposed to be tomorrow, it's supposed to be the 22nd. I'm not sure if where the information, if it's correct or not, but Michael Hollingsworth is an activist, a housing activist in the community. So that's one thing. The other thing is that we did talk about the one-shot deal. Some people were making the assumption that it was for homeowners as well. However, am I still talking? You can still hear me? Okay. But I did some research and found out that no, it does not apply to homeowners. It might apply to someone who has a private, a co-op or a condo, who might be late on their maintenance fees or taxes. But the one-shot deal is not for homeowners for their mortgage payments. So just for clarity, because that was something that was unclear. Now, Alex, can you confirm it's tomorrow? Because Michael is saying it's the 22nd.
It may be, I may have been off on dates. I'm trying to double check it. From what I was trying to go off of generally the New York City courts, but each individual court may open up at a different date. You know, and right now there's 3 months of backlog. So I don't imagine things will move very quickly.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll see if we can also work on our end to see if we can confirm the dates as well. Alejandra, thank you very much for the report. Appreciate that. I'm sorry. Okay. Next I see is Debbie Timothy. Are you on the line? Yeah, can you unmute Debbie?
Hi.
Hi, Debbie. How you doing?
Good.
Yes, you have a report for economic development?
I do. We did have a meeting last evening, and we did have a presentation by Mr. Mars, Deshaun Mars, from the New York City Department of Small Business Services. And he presented, I requested that he come in and present us with information as to how many businesses they were able to reach out to, and were the businesses receptive to, you know, the information that they had. Because I know that when I went out to flyer for Impact Brooklyn a few weeks ago, a lot of businesses were hesitant because they felt that it was a loan, and being in a crisis, I don't think you want to take a loan that you have to pay back. So he did a great presentation, you know, informing us about all the services that's available to small businesses, local small businesses. And there's a wealth of that information online if anyone, is interested in taking a look. And they will be working with small businesses on an ongoing basis. He also made a recommendation that if people should have questions, they can reach out to him and he will make sure that they get the information that they need. He also sent links to CB9 that we can share with, local businesses as well. So, I mean, it was great to have him there last night. I tried to get Avi from the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, but we were not able to get him on. So hopefully we can get them on at some other time to provide us with information as well. And Dale from Impact Brooklyn, I was trying to get an update from her in terms of the flyering that I did in the community to see how many businesses, reached out to them, but she was not able to attend the meeting. And I asked for an update by email, but I'm not sure whether she had the opportunity to do so. I didn't get anything. So I'm hoping that we can connect at some point and, figure out what's going on with that. In terms of, while I'm on, in terms of spending, I'm working on that. I will have that information for the general board meeting. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much, Deb. I do see one question in the chat with regards to, do you have the contact information for the person you spoke to? All right, actually, yeah, Mia, can you unmute this voice? And if there's anyone else who has a question for the Economic Development Chair, if you could please raise your hand in the chat.
Yeah, what's the person's name and the contact information, and where is all of the information? You said that the information is available, but where is it available? I can't hear her.
Yeah, Mia, you have to unmute yourself as well.
It's available through CB9. He sent it, I believe, this evening, Mia.
Yes, he sent it earlier today as EDC just met last night.
Forward his information to you.
Yes, I can email his contact information to you after the meeting. I don't have it on hand right now. But this gentleman, he regularly appears at EDC. He works at the Small Business Services.
Do I have to file a FOIL for the information?
No, his name was on the agenda last night, Deshaun Mars.
I'm talking about the information that he also is providing.
No, he provided that information for us to send out during our weekly e-blast as a community resource. It's not for something for CB9 to keep.
Okay.
Okay. Mia, can you see any other raised hands? All right, and if you could temporarily, I think I see two callers. Can you unmute them briefly and see if they have any questions?
Hi, caller ending in, hold on, 98347-715-9998. Good evening.
Hi, Mia, it's Amy. Sorry, I couldn't find my ID number before. Anyway, we did have an Environmental Protection Committee meeting on Thursday, June 4th, and it was our final meeting. We had Ms. Boyd was in attendance. She's a regular attendee to the committee meetings, and myself. That was it for the regular committee. And then we had two other guests on the call. One was a recent community member. She just moved to the area a short while ago, and she had yet to attend a board meeting. So I guess she just got our dial in and she joined. She was interested in the future becoming involved in various aspects of the community and the community board. I told her about the meeting next week, so hopefully she will join. And then we had a representative from Walter Mosley's office. I'm blanking on her name, but she is the spokesperson for the office. And the meeting was pretty brief. We wrapped up in an hour. it was more about trying to elicit some feedback. And since there was no one to give feedback, we discussed what we had accomplished over the year. And even though that most of our efforts were focused on the one item of having a community forum, which had to be canceled to be rescheduled, we thought that we did collect valuable information, and we agreed that it'd be good to have a handoff to the community board with the information we had for the forum, and so it could be picked up again, or these documents can be used as a reference for the next committee if they're interested in going down that path. And that was about it. It was a very brief meeting. We were done in an hour, and I think we had a successful year. We had 8 meetings, I believe, something like that, and I would hope for more participation in the future, but it is what it is. So that's all for me.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Pinkerton. Are there any questions for the Environmental Protection Committee? Okay, let me just take a quick, Mia, who do you see? How many hands do you see?
I just see Ms. Boyd.
Okay, unmute Ms. Boyd.
Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
Walter Mosley staff is supposed to be getting back to the community board and giving them an update on Walter Mosley's position with the 960 Franklin Avenue rezoning. She came and act like she didn't even know that that was an issue in the community, but she promised to get back to us about what his position is. Have you heard anything from Walter Mosley about that? And if not, will the community board be, responding back and asking, can Walter Mosley give us his position on it? Will there be a follow-up? That's all I'm saying. I mean, they come to these meetings, they're supposed to be representing the electeds. Community members have questions. They say they're going to get back to us with, those answers, and then the ball just drops. How do we continue with this conversation? How do we get them to respond back?
I wasn't aware of the offer, but we can look back with the Assembly Member's office and find out what information they have. So you said it's a position he was actually going to provide to us?
Yeah, I mean, he was supposed to be, we're talking about the 960 Franklin Avenue rezoning. He's supposed to be, the question was, what is Walter Mosley's position on it? Because it seems at one point he was saying yes, and then another point he's saying no, and now he wants to negotiate, and so it seems to be unclear. She didn't have a definitive answer, and so we asked for her to bring a definitive answer to us.
Can you hear me? Alicia, this is Amy. I know about a year and a half ago, it was Walter Mosley, it was Yvette Clark, and there was a third representative that had a meeting. Oh, it was probably Lori Cumbo, because I saved the flyer, and it was exactly on this Franklin Avenue development. So he did put a stake in the ground at some point, and he did have a community information hearing. I wasn't at that particular meeting, but you probably recall it. So just a FYI, I'm adding to this.
I mean, yes, he did. He put out a half-a-page flyer and stated that he was supporting it because of the amount of affordable housing that was going to be presented. And then there was the Parks memo that came out and said that it was going to have a negative effect on the garden. And then we were told that he was shifting his position. So it's now a little unclear about what it is.
Okay, if I could ask, Amy, if you could please send us a note to the office, just reminding of whatever deliverable the Assembly member had said, so we can follow up with him and find out. And it may be worth, Ms. Boyd, you can contact him directly as well, since you were present at the meeting and your constituent, so he should be able to respond to you directly as well, in case there's any delay. Well, Amy, if you could do that, if you could just send us a note, whatever deliverables he had promised.
Sure, I will. Thank you. Oh, I wanted to get the lady's name. I was hoping that maybe you have it. I misplaced my notes at the moment, so I think she has come to the board meetings. You might be familiar with her name if you know.
It was probably Latoya.
Yes, So Latoya, or, yeah, what was her last name?
I don't recall her last name, but I know her first name, Latoya.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Amy. Yes, Francisca, if you could, Mia, if you could please unmute the second vice chair for the Health and Social Services Committee.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Health and Social Services, we met on June 4th. And in discussion, we touched on the seniors, the services that the seniors are receiving. And some of the seniors, they are home, and in having dialogue, I have not been able to touch base with all these senior centers and the directors. I've spoken to, I think, 2 of them. And so I'm very much concerned about, which I spoke about before, the services that they're receiving while they're home. Some of them, they can go out. Some of them, they're fortunate, like Christopher Bledman. There's a NYCHA building, so those residents, they are able to go down into the center, pick up their foods or whatever that is delivered to them and go back into the quarters. But then we have other seniors who are at their private homes, and then they are looking to get food delivery and the medical delivery, also medication for delivery. Now we know CVS, they do deliveries and also Express Script, but not all the seniors have connection with those. And so we are looking to work with the centers and also Department of Aging to see how we can change things around to give the seniors a little bit more service than what they're already receiving. Some of the other centers that I spoke with, some seniors were asking for masks. I was not able to, well, I'm not able to get to all of them. I distributed masks to some of the centers, especially Ebbetsville. I went there, give them masks, and some of the other centers, I think from Lori Combo's office, they did receive some masks from him also. When it comes to the food delivery, I think that's the food Department of Aging is delivering to the seniors. They have to stop some of the food. So we have to find out as to whatever provision is in place for them, because some of the foods that they're receiving is not healthy. And a lot of the seniors, they don't want to eat the frozen foods, because usually they give them frozen food that would last them for the week. And some of the food is not conducive to the health. Some of them are diabetic, some of them has hypertension. So they need more healthy food and fruits, more fruits and more vegetables and stuff like that delivered to them. So these are the things that we are looking into. So we're looking to also have during our recess to have a community forum. And the theme is the recovery after COVID. What we really want to talk, we want the community to come together, and we will have CBOs coming in to answer questions, because we have a lot of our community members who are out of work. You know, some of those people who lost their jobs, they also lost their insurance coverage. So we want to see what type of services are out there for them, that if they should get sick and the loved ones get sick, that they have some sort of coverage to come in. We had MetroPlus who was in there with us, but we want something that is free, they don't have to pay. We know Kings County is available, that, you know, anybody could go into Kings County, and Kings County is reopening for the community. But then some people, they don't go to Kings County Hospital. So what's in place for them that they don't have to come out of pocket monies for the insurance? Some people also have lost their housing. During COVID, we have information where people who were hospitalized with COVID, when they went back to their homes, the landlord would not allow them back into the building. You know, then we had people who were diagnosed with COVID and they had to stay in for 14 days, and they wouldn't allow anybody to go in there to render any services to those people. So I know that the city, they have this service for people who had COVID, that they send them to a hotel. But what happened? They can't stay in the hotel for the rest of their life. So what happened after that, when the days at the hotel is over? Also, we have a lot of people because of what's happening. We have so many people in our community who have lost loved ones. Some people lost 4 loved ones, some lost 1, some lost 2, some lost 5, you know, and they themselves, they were touched with the COVID, and I mean, they are survivors, but that's still, it's a mental impact on them. So we will also have somebody from the hospital, a healthcare person, to come and talk to people and help them as to how to distress, how to deal with the, you know, the mental issues, what they are going through mentally. You know, so this is what we're looking at. So just have everybody come on and just have people there who will answer the questions and tell them where to go to get the services that they need. When it comes to the mask, I'm looking into see if we could get another 20,000 masks to distribute in the community. As we have heard, that maybe let's keep our fingers crossed that COVID don't come back to where it was before. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. But precaution is better than cure. And I'm looking to see if we could get at least another 10,000 masks to deliver in the community, because walking out there, we give out masks last month. We gave out 10,000 masks last month, but the need is high in the community. There you see people who are wearing 1 mask for 2 weeks. You see people walking and they have a mask and it's dingy. And then they do tell you, I have been wearing this mask for 2 weeks. It is not healthy. It defeats the purpose of what they're wearing the mask for. So I had a meeting last week, and Warren, our first vice chair, he was on the meeting also. And one of the participants, Anthony Feliciano, we had a meeting on the side, and one of the participants there, he told me that he have masks that he can give me a few thousand. So I'm looking to work with Borough Hall to see if Borough Hall can give us some masks also. So the community board, we could pick an area, maybe North Strand and Empire, but you know, strategic area that we could give masks to the community. And I think, so if anyone have any ideas, or you know of any organization who can help us to give out masks to the community, I will appreciate the information. That ends my report.
Thank you very much, Second Vice Chair. Appreciate all the work you and your committee have been doing. Do we have any questions for the Second Vice Chair? Please use the raise hand function. Mia, do you see any questions any raised hands in the past? Seeing none, or if you cannot use the raised hands, please put it in the chat. Okay, seeing none, we're going to go on to the agenda. Again, thank you very much, Fran.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mia, could you please unmute? I think I see Yakov. Public Safety, could you please unmute him?
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Mia. I actually have very shortly, we have a webinar on abuse during COVID in the home with some medical professionals. I just wanted to check in. We've been in touch with the community and the various leaders of the community, both the African-American community, the Jewish community, and the police department, as well as, I mean, lately there's been a lot of complaints to the committee about fireworks. I don't know if the board, did the board receive as well complaints? Yes?
Yes, we received a few.
Right, so I mean, we're talking 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and seniors are having trouble sleeping, and we've relayed the information to the board and to the department. I'm not really sure what more we could do, but I know it's an issue in the last few weeks. I just want to report that both our meetings, our first public safety meeting last month that was on Zoom, we had over 800 views on YouTube. In addition to about 50 participants or 40 participants. And the last public safety meeting as well, we had several hundred views online, as well as I think about 40, 50 participants in Zoom. And we look forward to continuing doing large meetings, and we hope to find more professionals, medical professionals and other professionals to update the community. And that's our report, basically. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You also, were there any applications that you considered, any recommendations made by the committee?
Oh, yes. So there was one application, Mia, it's, what address, what is it?
That's 882 Nostrand Avenue.
882 Nostrand, and they initially wanted to stay open, I think, on weekends till 4 a.m. And they also wanted to have an outdoor area till 12. So we voted, actually, they agreed to. I mean, I noticed that their signature support, the document they produced, only had the hours till 2 a.m. And in addition, the community raised concerns about noise. I think those concerns are very valid, that there's going to be noise outside and people won't be able to sleep at night. And as everybody's aware, our recommendation is really advisory. You know, it's not binding. So we asked them about closing, keeping the outdoor area closed till 11, and they also agreed to close that door. They said that they only want to stay open till about 2, not 4. So based on those two amendments to their application, we agreed to support. We voted to support, and we are conditional on the fact that they're open. The outdoor area is only open about till 11. And the actual facility closes at 2, not 4 on weekends.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the Public Safety Chair? Please use the raise hand function.
We have Ms. Boyd with a question.
All right, are there any other questions as well? All right, seeing another, we're going to recognize Ms. Boyd. Please unmute Ms. Boyd.
I'm sorry, there is Miss Constant. She's raising her hand virtually. Miss Constant, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Boyd. I've already unmuted Ms. Boyd, so she can proceed first, and then Ms. Wolf can go next.
I can just tell you the way in which that safety committee meeting was held was absolutely horrible. It was a pure violation of the open meetings law and the intention of the open meetings law. People who were raising their hand, who were chatting in the chat, requesting to be heard, were not heard. The chair refused to recognize people. The chair paraded 3 people in front of us, did not let anyone ask any questions from those people, kept making the claim that he didn't see anybody, even though we were waving our hands, you know, dramatically all through the space, chatting and demanding to be heard. Also, the fact that it was clearly used as a platform for a political person to sit there and do their campaign. An elected official who's not even in our community, does not provide any services in our community. Especially with this elected official had an outrageous ad that was so racist and so offensive to the Black community. It's just, you know, the fact that this is how we are now conducting public safety. They also paraded the police in front of us, again, did not let anyone ask any questions of the police, as if the only concern that the public has is for opening up parks, when we have citizens being arrested by the 71st precinct right in their homes. I mean, you know, there's all of this violence that's going on, there's all of this rage that's going on, and we have a safety committee chair that decides that he's going to pick and choose the voices that he wants to hear. And when I started talking about trying to figure out what the why is, why are people so upset? Why are people being violent? Why are people, you know, having to resort to this level of opposition? He decides he doesn't like what I'm saying and then mutes me. That is a complete violation of the open meetings law. And if this does not get corrected, if your chairs believe that they can continue to engage in that type of behavior, you will see us in court, because this is not how our meetings should be held. I should be able to come to a safety committee and have my concerns addressed, not the concerns of one particular ethnic group, okay, outside of nobody else. Nobody else could speak at that forum. Yes, there were 35 people. By the time he ended, there were like 10 hands raised. He completely ignored all the hands. and just close the meeting. And Fred, you were there at that meeting. You saw what was going on. You saw the chats where people were absolutely outraged that you had this politician who had one of the most negative and racist ads to pit Jews against blacks. It was just absolutely horrible, especially in the time in which our young people are out there in the streets demanding that our voices be heard, demanding that our right to be treated equally and fairly is a platform for them, where they're getting beat up, and yet we come into a community board and we can't even speak. We can't speak because you got a chair who decides he's just gonna mute every time he doesn't like something, he doesn't hear something, or he's just gonna ignore. So if the community board does not set some standards for their chairs and inform the chairs of how they need to behave. Now, the way in which you're behaving in this forum, that's fine. You're making sure that everybody understands how to do the hand raise. You're making sure that if somebody wants to ask a question, who's on the phone call, you unmute them and say, do you want to ask a question? But this is not how your chairs are running those meetings. And so there needs to be some conformity all across the board to ensure that we, the public, have a right to speak our own opinions in our own minds. Who is Jackoff to tell me what I should think or should not think, what I should believe or not believe, and who is he now representing me? Jackoff doesn't represent me. I didn't ask Jackoff to represent me or my interests, and my interest is not about opening up the parks, okay? My interest is about the brutality that's continuing to happen to the people in my community by the 71st precinct and by other precincts all throughout the city and all throughout this nation. That's what my concern is, and yet my concern could not be addressed at the safety committee because you got a chair who decides that that's not what he wants to hear. So my question is what is the executive board planning on doing to ensure that there is uniformity across the board when it comes to how you are doing these Zoom meetings? Because if there's not, then there's going to be litigation so that you can do that. So you can understand that you can't just do whatever you want to do, and your chairs can't just do whatever they want to do. So that's my question to the executive board committee. Are you going to look at this issue? Are you going to address it? Are you going to set some standards for your chairs on how they need to move forward with Zoom or any other platform to ensure that the community has a right to speak what they want to speak, say what they want to say without being muted or ignored?
All right, Ms. Boyd, that's why I'll ask if I can defer. I will answer the question. When I get to my chairman's report, I do have a few comments that I want to make. First of all, thank you for your comments.
May
There are
I?
a few points that you touched on. No, it's okay. Yeah, let me just address this real quick. So there are a few points with regards to that I will address during my chairman's report, and there are ongoing conversations that we are having. So when I get to the chairman's report, I'll do that, and I'll open it up. If you have a question at that point, I'll address that. If you have additional questions or answers you need, I'll let you know at that point. Okay.
Can I respond shortly? Short? 30 seconds.
No, it's not required. It's okay. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Oh, we have two additional questions. We have Julia Bryant and Alejandra, but let me circle back. I believe Ms. Lessold had a question as well. Hold on one moment. Where did she go? Constance Lessold.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you, because I'm not very familiar with Zoom. And thank you for giving me time. Most of you who are on this meeting, or some of you, don't know me, but I have been involved with both Community Board 8 and Community Board 9 for like 50 years. So I'm very concerned with what happens in both boards and do attend sometimes committee meetings of both boards. I did not attend the public safety meeting that you're discussing. I did hear about it, and I did see the video, and I want to identify myself as Jewish, and I was very, very horrified by this ad that appears to come from Councilman Deutsch. We cannot have this kind of racist ads being put into our community. We cannot, I have worked peace in the community for 50 years. I cannot sit here quietly and have been a part of the Jewish community, both the Reform and the Orthodox and the Hasidic. And we have all worked together. We do not need people coming from outside Crown Heights doing this kind of racist rhetoric. I was horrified. I know very well the brutality that has gone in the 71st precinct. And I know what in the old days went on in the 77th precinct when my good friend Arthur Miller was at the hands of the police. And he was a community leader from the Caribbean. We cannot tolerate this. So please be careful. People are trying to live together in peace and harmony. Most people are trying to do that on all sides. I am very sorry for what Councilman Deutsch has done. I don't understand it at all. But thank you for giving me this time. And I will be following this story, not only through the community board, but through everything. And let me say that I don't know how that video or that YouTube got to Florida, but I had a conversation with a friend in Florida just today who was working with me on some problems that an individual had. And she told me she had received this YouTube from somewhere. I don't know. It didn't come from me. I'm sure it didn't come from anybody in Board 9. And she was horrified. Whole thing. So please, we don't need this reputation. I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Lasoul. Appreciate you joining us this evening. Thank you for your comments. All right, Mia,
Alejandra?
can you unmute? I think, yes, thank you.
And then Julia Bryant. Alejandra, go ahead.
Unfortunately, I was held up by work and I was unable to attend the full length of the public safety meeting. And I just wanted to bring this, some of my concerns to the exec committee, and I also hopefully want to bring them to the full board next week as well. I've been out there protesting almost every day. And about 2 weeks ago, just down in Flatbush off of Bedford and Church, the police charged us. My girlfriend fell and hit her head. And we were peacefully marching. I don't know if there's a possibility to share a screen. I can just take 20 seconds to share some of the video of what happened, if that's okay. Sorry, I can't hear you, Fred, sorry.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize, but only in the interest of time, we do need to get through the agenda. If you could summarize it, though, I mean, definitely.
Okay, well, so, we were peacefully charged and, or we were peacefully marching and we were charged by the police. I got pushed back with a baton, so did my girlfriend, and she fell and hit her head. Another woman in the crowd had her face busted open. The police were using their helicopter in a very aggressive manner, hovering 100 feet above the ground to try and intimidate the crowd. They kettled us in, and this was at 4 p.m. in Flatbush in an otherwise peaceful march. There had been women and children like in the crowd, just, kids, like everything. It was a very peaceful protest here 2 weeks ago on a Saturday. And then later on in that march, I nearly got run over by a police cruiser. And this was different from the incident that went viral. This was the same march, but it was earlier, right in between the botanical gardens and the zoo. I also have video of that. And then, that when we were walking later, I happened to be just behind where that viral video was, where the police ran through the protesters with with a barricade. And then just the last week, right before the curfew ended, actually I think it was a week and a half ago, I can't remember, right here on Nostrand, right in front of the Domino's, just down the street from the community board office. They arrested nurses. They arrested over 40 people. I could see it all outside my window. They arrested the communications director for State Senator Julia Salazar. And they arrested nurses walking home from Kings County Hospital in their scrubs with IDs showing that they're working at Kings County. And they just kettled everybody in and arrested them. I understand this is just in response to the public safety, and I didn't get a chance to usher these concerns or utter these concerns at the public safety meeting. But something needs to be done. We need to have a very forceful response out of this community board, because the actions of the NYPD are beyond unprecedented and disgusting. I mean, it boils my blood, the things that I have seen the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've had friends beaten by police. I've had friends get pepper sprayed. We saw our state senator, Zelnor Myrie, get pepper sprayed and arrested, and he would probably be in jail if it wasn't for the fact that he was a state senator. Diana Richardson was pepper sprayed. The NYPD are out of control, and unless the 71st precinct is willing to reach out and actually talk with us as a community board and have a separate meeting to address all the things that have been going on in the last few weeks, because it's obvious that the DA is not holding them to account. They've charged one officer. The Attorney General is writing a report. I haven't seen it, we don't get access, and we haven't seen any disciplinary actions on any of these other officers. So we need to try and do whatever we can on the community board to hold the NYPD accountable, because the actions have just been absolutely disgusting over the last few weeks. I'm done.
Okay, thank you for all that information. Here's what we can do. Vinny was actually at the meeting, so he was at the public safety meeting. But I'm sure that it's just a matter of if we contact 71st Precinct, we can arrange another meeting. We might even be able to get the precinct commander there as well. If you have any suggestions, or if there's a resolution you would like for us to consider, we can talk about that offline, and that might be something we can actually do as a community board as well. If we draft that, the language, see what we're trying to accomplish with that. So let's do that. Let's talk offline in terms of, and you can provide the footage as well. I think somebody requested that if you could provide the link in the chat, so that way they can see the video as well. But we can talk about this. This is something that's not going away, and this is a larger conversation we're having with regards to, police accountability, police reform. So yes, absolutely, this meeting is something that we need to have. So let's talk offline, and we'll see what we can do in terms of arranging either a conversation beginning at the next meeting, or we're going to be working over the summer. So definitely this is a conversation that we're going to be having. Is that okay, or is there anything else you need, or?
That's it.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, may I say something, please?
I had Julia Bryant up next. Okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, so just so we can move the agenda, so we have Julia Bryant, Fran, and then we'll have to close, and we're going to have to move on to the agenda. Okay? All right, continue. Ms. Bryant?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to address one. I was at the safety meeting, and Alexandra, I have an issue with your putting that into the chat, because if you put that link in and then when we close out this chat, we won't have access to seeing that link. Is there some way that the public can get to see that link that you just put in the chat? Well, she can't answer me back.
I can send it out in an email. I mean, I've already sent it to the DA, and I've already filed a complaint with the Attorney General.
I know, but for the rest of us to be able to see it, it might be
I
helpful.
can send out an email after to the community board.
Okay, I appreciate that. Okay, let me move on. I want to address the safety meeting. The chair was ridiculously disrespectful to Ms. Boyd. He was disrespectful to the entire group, but when she went to speak, he was racist. It was uncalled for. I was embarrassed for him. And I just want to make that, bring that as an issue. The police report, when I listened to it again, It was gobbledygook. He was talking about CompStat reports, and if you listen to it really carefully, he counter makes counter statements. One, it was no safety distancing, but we made complaint, but we got arrest. It was during the same period of time, but it wasn't safety distancing, but we made arrests. The point is, he was abusing the community. The 71st precinct was abusing the community. And then the last point I'd like to make is that when I found out that Councilman Deutsch was going to come to the meeting, I made a complaint. Now, I mind you that just because I made a complaint, it's not a reason why he should be uninvited. However, my complaint was that he was disrespectful and he was race baiting. Then he comes to the meeting and he makes a campaign speech. I couldn't figure out why he was there. I couldn't figure out who he was. I wrote in the chat, "Sir, why are you here?" He never addressed any of our questions, and then he left. So I feel that we were abused, and I want to make a public statement on that, on those points. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Ms. Leopold? Brent?
Yes. Said that I think that it's very important that we have a community dialogue with our precinct, and I think that it's very important. And also to say that I think that a lot of people are saying because the police are in the community or the police are doing something in the community, it's not necessary unless you know that particular officer, which I don't know who the officers were, that you know that's an officer you know from the 71st precinct. Because what I know that the mayor did is dispatch officers from all over the place in the boroughs. So you might see an officer doing something in our district. That does not mean that they are from the 71st precinct. Because I think a lot of people saying, well, 71st precinct, but that does not mean because you see an officer in the neighborhood making an arrest or anything, they are necessary from our precinct. And Alejandra is very correct because a lot of the, I spoke to one of the officers because of a complaints that I got, and then he was like, you know, the city, they're tired of making us the scapegoat because things are happening in the community and where we are being blamed, and we are tired of being scapegoat and taking the blame in the community against us. So I think that we really need to have, and people need to, it's a conversation. We are talking, we are hurting our brothers, our husbands, our nephews, our children. They're killing them, they're being killed. But at the end of the day, we still have to come to the table and say, hey, this is our community, you are here, you need us and we need you, and have a conversation, because we cannot sit there and just let it be business as usual. But I just want to say that that does not mean because you see something happening in the community and it's a police officer, they are from the 71st precinct.
Thank you very much, thank you very much, Mayor, as well. And again, so this is not something that we want to solve tonight, but I think what we can do, we will have the conversations coming forward. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of issues that are going on. And that's something that this is our responsibility as a board to speak up on that as well. So we'll set the stage, we'll have the conversations, we'll bring in the parties that we need to have a part of that as well. All right, and with that being said, well, Mia, do you see any other chairs online?
No, I do not see any other chairs online, but I do see another phone number that we did not engage. I'm going to unmute it just so that the person can identify themselves. 718-774-5698. Good evening.
Good evening.
Miss Williams.
Yes, this is Miss Williams. I would like to say a few words, if I may, if it's time. I'll try to make it as quick as I can. Can I go ahead?
Yes,
sure.
Please.
Yes, good evening, everyone. This is Miss Williams, Evelyn Williams from 265 Hawthorne Street, Community Board member. And I just want to piggyback on something that Miss Francesca just said, because it's a two-side story out there about the police, and sometimes we make everything all negative, but it's not all negative, because I can tell you real quickly, it's a long story, so I'll just make it short. Over here on Hawthorne Street between Rogers and Nostrand, we have been getting and having the worst time with community hoodlums. Community people who don't live in the community, a few of them live on the block, and they took over our building, and we had to do, right now we are going to the length to put up lights, to do this, to do that, to keep them out of the building. And I can tell you the 71st Precinct has been working with us night and day to keep the people here safe. They have smashed the police car over here. They hop in the police face telling them they don't need them on the block. We have not come out yet because we're trying to work on it and to work with the police. But I just want to say there are positive sides to the police department. And I have had some negative side with police, but we cannot blame one for all. We have to, as Francisco said, if you know who they are, and sometimes they're not from the community, they're not even familiar in the least to the community. So we have to step back, and amidst our anger and our hurt, we have to know that there are differences within every race and everybody, and we're feeling it. So we have to try, and we have to get to the table whenever we can, and try to see how we can bring our neighbors in to start fueling all this problem, because it's not all out there. I'm so right now emotional. I'm listening to everyone, but all I'm hearing is negative. But there are some positive sides. The community could not be all bad. So we have to try to work across the board to see where we can reach some of the good and blend it with the bad and see out of evil become it good. That's all I have to say right now.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're very welcome, my dear.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on in the agenda. We're going to go to the next item, the administrative report. Mia?
Yes, I'll be brief in the interest of time. I know we're past the 8 o'clock hour. We still have a significant portion of the agenda to attend to. Just to bring everyone up to speed, as of this week, we've been, myself and Khalid, we have been going into the office to kind of prepare for the reception of deliveries for the orders that we placed thus far for items that the community board will be using. We've had the site assessed for our HVAC system cleaning. We're due to have the site assessed for an awning cleaning and COVID deep cleaning later on this week as well. To date, we have encumbered $30,545 total that have gone toward the purchase of the cleaning of the HVAC system, laptops and printers, standard office supplies, cleaning supplies, office equipment. And we look to have another 10 to 12 encumbered by the close of business on Friday. Essentially, I've had to go back and do a bit of more research with some of the orders, because we have to make sure that for all the purchases that are made, that the vendor can guarantee delivery of the product prior to June 30th, and then give us time to process the billing through Borough Hall. So for some of the items that we initially picked, I had to go back and either swap out or do additional research and located another vendor. Other than that, just in preparation for the deep cleaning of the office, if anyone's passed by and they saw the gate up, they noticed that all of the papers, all of the flyers are off of the window in preparation for the cleaning. So other than that, that's all I have for the evening. Anyone with any questions?
Yeah, I just want to ask, I know that you said that all the papers and everything off the windows. So after the windows are clean, you will be putting up the electronic.
Yes, the digital displays, right? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I have Ms. Boyd and I have Beverly. Give me one moment. Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
When are you anticipating opening back up the community board itself?
We haven't received any directive from the mayor's office, so we will be remote until further notice.
And Fred, I believe that after my first statement, you stated that you were going to get back to me. Are you going to get back to me about my statement?
I did respond in the chat after I give my chairman's report because some of those points I will be covering.
Oh, okay. So I'm waiting. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Beverly? Why can't it? Beverly? Beverly, you're not unmuting. Hold on, there's some technical issues here. Beverly is not unmuting. Hold on, Beverly. Beverly,
Okay,
go ahead.
got it. Thank you. When is the office lease supposed to be over?
The office lease is over September 30th, 2020, but DCAS is currently working on an extension of our lease until we locate a new space.
So is it economically beneficial to put the new board up in the old office when we're going to be leaving in less than a year?
We're not leaving in less than a year. The scouting process for DCAS for location to lease signing to move is a 2 to 3 year process.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lengthy process because DCAS has to scout out the site, and then it goes back to the legal department, then the lease has to be negotiated, then the board has to sign it, then it has to be processed, and then we would have to set up a move date. So yeah, it's a 2 to 3 year process, depending on how quickly they locate a site within the district.
Do you know where they're looking?
They're currently not looking anywhere right now, but it could be anywhere within the confines of CB9.
Thank you.
You're most welcome, Beverly.
And if I could add to that as well, one of the things that we've been doing with the district office team is having conversations around what we would need in a district office. How do we want to configure the space? Well, how much, do we need meeting space? If there's anything else that we need as well. If we're going to move again, I don't want to move from one space that maybe doesn't necessarily meet all our needs to go to another place that doesn't meet our needs as well. So we want to make sure that we're asking for what we need, what we anticipate we're going to need, so that when we move, it's going to be, it's going to provide us, the adequate space to do what we need to do as a community board as well.
But not meeting our needs, if I'm informed properly, is not why we're relocating. The rent is too high and the space we're in currently is the reason for us to relocate. Correct?
I don't want to necessarily say the rent is too high. I'm not happy with the rent, but I'm not going to say that we're going to jump from one place and pay less. It's not likely we're going to, find something that's significant. Hopefully we do. I'm hoping the DCAS does their job and they find something less, but something better or comparable at least. But there are definitely challenges in the place with regards to their leaks. We've had issues in the past where it's like we've had electrical equipment we had to replace, repair. And again, I think that it's a matter of if we can do better, we should definitely look out and see what we can do.
With all the new, this is my last question. With all the new developments coming up in the community within walking distance of Community Board 9, has any of those developers been approached in regards to making a community space in their building?
Or it's a little bit ahead of the process. And Mia, please correct me if I go wrong. It's a little bit ahead of the process because DCAS really runs that. And there's a number of steps they have to go through first.
Yeah, definitely. It comes out of the property unit. And at the moment, they're just in the final stages of renegotiating the short-term lease for us. And then they'll be moving on to the scouting. And that's assuming once things start to free up a bit as we move through the phases post-COVID.
Okay, thank you.
You're most welcome, Beverly.
All right.
Fran,
okay.
I see. Fran, is your hand still up or you good? Okay, sure. Gotcha. Ms. Boyd, you're good? Okay, everybody's good. Going down the line. Okay, everybody's good. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the work. We're going to move on to the agenda. We're going to go to item 4, Chairman check-in. So we definitely got a number of things to discuss this evening, things to come back to. First, I think in terms of good news, we have had a number of reappointments to the board. So we have currently 13 new members who are appointed to the board. Just very briefly, the names are Verlene Dozier, Sue-Ann Chong, Rio Peerbooms has been appointed back to the board as well, Melanie Lewis, Melissa Severe, Michelle DeRosier Caldwell, Primo Lasana, Linda Watson-Ward, Dexter Roberts, Wayne King, Aaron Brown, Nicholas Almanor, and Maida Legout. So those are our new members to the board, which brings us to a total number of 41 members, which is definitely a step in the right direction. I want to thank all the board because we've been operating very short-handed for a significant amount of time. And it's a testament to the commitment of the board members who've come, continue to have committee meetings, continue to do the workshops, the webinars, and all the other work. And I'm just anticipating that we will, especially with the new fresh energy, we're going to be able to do even more. We do still have some outstanding appointments that we're waiting for as well. So we are hopeful that the number will actually increase as well. I think we've touched on this a number of times with regards to things that are happening in our community. We're talking about police accountability and reform. I think it's an understatement to say that when we turn on the news and we see what's going on, it's maddening. And I think we see a lot of truths that people of color have lived and experienced for years, decades, centuries, now finally coming to light, and people are pushing back on this, which is a good thing. And it's going to be a process. As a community board, I think we need to make sure that we are a part of that process. And it's going to be a number of actions. It's not going to be one magic moment that does it. It's going to be a consistent effort. It's going to be a number of different initiatives, a number of different ideas, a lot of conversations in terms of building solutions that are going to rectify the problem. I'm proud to say that one thing that we started, one small step, is that the borough president approached the community board chairs with a proposal that he gave to the mayor with regards to precinct commanders. I think when we're talking about police, we need to understand that leadership matters, and we need leadership that is responsive to the community. So one of the reforms that are proposed on that level are that communities be given input into the selection of precinct commanders. So this is a proposal that was offered to the mayor. I signed off on that as well. I signed off on the letter. So that's going up. And this is to say that we want to make sure that we are a part of this conversation. And to the point that the member made, and to the point that many community members have also made as well, Community Board 9 will be a part of this conversation. It's necessary. It's a matter of life and death. And as we talk about that as well, life and death, again, our hearts and sympathies go out to all those who've been affected by COVID-19. I've lost personally, and I think many of us know people who've been affected. And we're going to continue to be affected with this for a while. I think when we listen to the news, we see resurgences happening in a number of states. In over 20 states, we've seen spikes. I think that some of the dialogue has always been that we could expect a second explosion of infections. And as such, I think that what we want to do as a board is start having the conversations in terms of, I don't anticipate we return to normal. I think we can never return to normal because this is now a reality in terms of we have to be careful about our loved ones, our seniors, our young ones, people of color who have been particularly susceptible to this because of social determinants. And yes, so I think we need to be a part of that. Part of that is also as well, we rethink how we actually conduct ourselves as a community board. So one of the things we need to be considering is social distancing strategies. Right now, we are unable to have these kinds of meetings because of an executive order by the governor. I think one of the things that I want us to start thinking about and taking the lead on is actually working with our elected officials to push to make teleconferencing something that is a tool available to the community board going forward as well. This is not to say that it's the be-all and end-all where we can only meet via teleconference, but I think we should have the option so that we can, when necessary, make sure that we protect all of our community members. With regards to speakers at community board events, I've definitely heard, I want to thank everyone for the commentary this evening. I think that there are definitely learning points that we need to get better with in terms of how we conduct the meetings, making sure that we insist on a certain standard in terms of participation, where we're listening to people, where we're inclusive, where people have an opportunity to speak as well. So not that we have all the answers, but these are conversations that we're beginning to have in terms of making sure that we're reaffirming that the community board, we're inclusive and we have the conversations and we invite the public to participate as well. It is a community board, and I'm committed to that as well. So part of that is learning how do we make sure we bake that in to our teleconferencing. We've had our challenges in terms of, I know that there's issues with technology. We're not all coming to the platform in the same manner. Some have availability to download the Zooms or platforms. Others had to come into video conferences where you come to the web conference through the link. Some of us are coming through mobile devices. Some of us are coming through phones. And what we're learned the hard way, perhaps, is that because of these variations, we can't say that there's always a consistent way in which we can say, okay, well, listen, you can raise your hand because not everybody has that capability. But I think that we're learning and we're having conversations, and this is dialogue that we're having with the chairs and with each other in terms of, okay, what are the lessons we've learned and how can we be better as we're going forward? It's a little late only because we're coming to the June meeting of the year, obviously. But again, I think we're committed to saying, well, listen, we can learn lessons from all of these activities. And again, I don't believe that we should return strictly to we need to meet in person, because I think that's something that is dangerous for our community members. So we're going to be having conversations with regards to how do we proceed in that respect. I want to thank again Bia for all her work with the budget. I think that this has been a conversation that we've been having. So we're definitely spending a lot of money. We're trying to get a lot of goods and services and things that we normally wouldn't be able to get done in regular years, taking care of in the office now. And we're still continuing to work to have conversations with elected officials, particularly with the city council with regards to their funds, in terms of understanding that because of this, it's through a leak wrench, and we've heard dialogue from a number of other community boards as well, where they're going through the same thing, where offices have been closed, normal operations have not been able to be conducted the way we would. And it doesn't make sense that we're giving back a lot of money that really was there for the intent of helping community boards improve and do things that normally they couldn't do. So we're a part of that effort as well in terms of trying to make sure we can get extensions for with regards to the city council funds. But we're also working diligently to go with our initial plan in terms of we have a spending plan. And again, I want to thank Bia Hilton, the assistant district manager, for all the work she's doing in terms of placing orders, as well as Khalid Nixon, our community assistant, in terms of his support with that as well. I think we had mentioned it briefly in terms of summer activities. I think and I'm very happy to hear that there is an excitement and there is a sense of dedication amongst many of our board committees, where we know that, even though formally we stopped meeting as a full board in the summer, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So between the census, between our youth services committee, I know has already had conversations about ways they can engage and support our youth, especially given budget cuts that are expected and anticipated. We just heard that the housing committee is already, ready to go in terms of identifying supports that the community is going to need, especially as we're just starting to come out a little bit from under COVID-19, and I just say just a little bit. But I think that the expectation is that there's going to be a lot of committees working. Additionally, the search committee, just wanted to mention that as well, has not had the opportunity to meet, but I do want to thank them for all the work that they've already done. And I don't want to say the expectation, because I don't want to front run anything, but I think that it would be appropriate, if possible, if the search committee actually be one of those committees that works through the summer as well, because that'll give the opportunity to hopefully continue the process that we've already discussed and approved as a board, bring in the candidates, so that way we can vet them and hopefully be able to have somebody in place early in the fall. So that way they'll actually have a full year to be able to get to be in the job and be in the seat and deliver the services that we need as a board. Very quickly, I also wanted to mention the special meeting that we have scheduled for tomorrow. So the special meeting I called in accordance with our bylaws to discuss an amendment to the bylaws of temporary nature, but necessary. Because our bylaws, our election process states that it's supposed to be a paper ballot, which would mean that this is something that's supposed to be, in person. What we're looking at is opportunities. Well, what the first thing we're going to be doing is approving in a teleconferencing meeting for the June meeting, and also allowing for electronic balloting. So that way we have that option in terms of being able to conduct our votes in a safe manner where we can still socially distance and yet still continue the work that we have to do. Also, as an announcement, our June meeting has been moved to June 24th. It was originally scheduled for the 23rd, but in looking at the calendar, we understand that there's a conflict. Obviously, we have elections happening on that Tuesday. So to make sure that we're able to be at full strength, able to conduct our business, we postponed the meeting by 1 day. We've already had outreach to the board, and we're moving the date to that time. With regards to expectations of speakers at community board events, again, I thank everyone for your comments. I think to answer some of those points, we're working on trying to make sure that we're addressing and finding everybody in the chats in the different facets in terms of that, trying to make sure we have the engagement. I also think that one of the things that came out from the setting expectations in terms of speakers when they're coming to speak, I think one of the challenges or issues was that in terms of the agenda, the speaker was supposed to come and speak on a particular topic and did not necessarily stick to that. And I think that's problematic. So we will be having conversations, and we will be trying to find ways in terms of making sure that instances like that are limited, do not happen again, in terms of one, setting expectations, and two, in terms of setting guidelines in terms of when people are speaking, particularly our elected officials, if they're coming to our board, what's the manner, in terms of, being able to acknowledge them and able to share information, but at the same time, permitting us as a board to be able to follow our agenda and complete the business we need to complete. So those are ongoing conversations. That will be part of training. And I think some of these issues are going to be training. And that is one of the things that I'm proposing, and I'm hoping that the board takes this up in terms of as we get to the summer months. Again, I think that, yes, we don't meet or we're not meeting, but this is it also present an opportunity for us to kind of get information out there, to streamline, to make sure we have consistency. So I think that in the past, we've had trainings where we've done Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedure, open meetings law, zoning, matters of that. So we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page with regards to that. And I think that some of that will actually help in terms of us having more effective meetings as we go forward. I just want to do some very, very brief thank yous. First of all, again, I want to thank Mia Hilton, and I want to thank Khalid Nixon for all of your hard and dedicated work. In my year as chair, I have relied on you so much. I appreciate all of your work, and you truly are examples, shining examples of what public service looks like. I also want to thank all of my committee chairs and all the committees for everything you have done. Again, like I said, this has been a crazy year, and I want to thank you for all of the work that you've done and your commitment. We wouldn't be at this point, and you stuck in there and you just gave it your all, and I appreciate everyone for that. I want to thank the executive committee as well. It's been my personal honor and privilege to work with you. You have been dedicated, you have been there, you have been supportive, you've been collaborative, everything I possibly could have wanted in partners on an executive committee and community board. And I thank you for that. And I will close on that. I do have one final matter, but let me entertain a few questions first before we go on to my last point of my report. If there are any questions, please raise your hands. I'm sorry?
Hold on. We have a question for Ms. Boyd. Let me just scan really quickly to see anyone else. Just Ms. Boyd. Ms. Boyd, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You're now talking about having a conversation with the police department, the 71st precinct. I would hope, and we would insist as a community, as a residents in the community, that conversation would include us and that we will be sitting at the table. We currently have a letter that has been circulating amongst the community and in the city that we would like to present to the 71st precinct about the conduct that the 71st precinct has done to us. And so we would hope that if you're going to have these side conversations after outside of these meetings, that the community will be a part of those conversations, the residents in the community, not just community board members, but also community residents who have also suffered at the hands of the 71st precinct. Is that going to happen?
Well, I don't want to front run something that I haven't even planned yet. All I know is the intent is, yeah, we're going to have a conversation. There's going to be engagement. How it's going to go yet, I don't know, but it is absolutely something we're planning. And I don't believe in us having side conversations or cutting side deals with them first. This is a community board, so we're going to represent community concerns.
So you're going to be inviting residents like myself in these conversations?
I mean, I don't anticipate we're not going to have residents there. At some point, yes, we do. But I think additional details will come as we actually have a conversation.
I also have Alejandra with a question.
Yes.
Just a quick response, Teresa, about leadership matters at the 71st. I from my perspective, I think, we've tried for decades to have community policing or have more input into the police. And at this point, I think it's a lost cause. I think at this point, I'm fully on board with, defund the NYPD and move to a push to not only defund past $1 billion this upcoming budget per year, which would be over 20% of their budget, to make sure that money is actually reinvested into communities, to make sure it goes into keeping people into their homes, and keeping in their homes who are facing evictions, and also to make sure we're getting social workers and other programs that can help get like the instinct to always have police mediate everything. If somebody's throwing a firecracker in a neighborhood, you don't need police to come in and tell them and arrest them. And so, I don't want to take up too much more time, but I think, these are piecemeal solutions that don't change anything. I've seen, Hispanic and Black cops beating people just as much as the white cops. This is an inherent white supremacist structure overall, not just individual cops or anything. It's the entire structure of the NYPD. So, thank you.
Thank you, Alejandra.
All right. Were there any other items? Were there any other questions? Anybody else in the chat or any phone calls? How many phone calls were
May I actually hear from Mr. Burke, please?
Mr. Burke has that? Yes.
Hello. No, I have nothing to say right now.
Nothing from the hospital?
You want to hear about the hospital? Okay. Basically, the hospital is very concerned about the future. They've done a lot of construction and have learned a lot from the first wave of COVID-19. What they've done is they've built a hospital within a hospital. There were 3 buildings that were used for administration that have now been converted to wards, and these wards will be called hot zones. And they are fully expecting a resurgence of COVID-19 in the fall. And while they don't know, because it's a learning process, they should be very prepared for it. The other part that's important, which hospital, Michael? All of H&H hospitals throughout the city. It's really the same thing throughout the corporation. I'm speaking specifically about Kings County Hospital. But the other part is that as of yesterday, the hospital, Kings County, has been open for ambulatory care, as all H&H hospitals are. And the staff is very concerned that people who have been putting off their ambulatory care, special procedures, etc., may be fearful of coming into the hospital. There have been a number of things put in place. The first thing is that people just can't go to the hospital. We're using teleconferencing for the initial screening, and the way that you do that is you just call your doctor and you'll get a call back. The second thing is that only people who have appointments are being allowed into the hospital, and that's to limit social distancing and to make sure that it's not overcrowded. But what they really want you to know is that they're open for business. They are looking to see all of their patients, and don't be fearful coming back. I've been at the hospital, and it is certainly, number one, much quieter. Number two, it is spotless. The other part is that the behavioral health, which is building R, is very concerned about the behavioral health of our community based on what's happened in COVID-19. So they are open. There is a 9 o'clock general intake every morning in building R. So if you or your family or an associate is having a problem with their mental health, depression, anxiety, etc., go down and you'll be welcome. And that's my report.
Thank you, Warren.
Thank you very much, Warren. Okay, all right, so seeing no other questions at this point, I do have one final item on my chairman's report, which actually is a personnel matter that we need to discuss. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss a personnel performance matter.
So made.
I have a motion by Warren Burke. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Leopold. We're not going to go into executive session. I would ask that only the executive committee members stay behind. Mia, will you be able to put everyone else?
I'll be moving other participants back into the waiting room.
Okay, so please, for everyone else, please just hold on to the line. You'll be put into a waiting room, and when we've concluded the executive session, you will be put back into the Zoom meeting. Like magic.
Are we in executive session?
No, I'm still I'm still clicking away. Hold on. Who's
All right, Mia.
Hold on. Miss Williams, hold on. Miss
Yes,
Williams,
ma'am.
74? Okay.
I wanted to say something. It's too late.
Hold on a minute, Miss
No,
Williams.
just
Hold
hold
on.
on, ma'am.
Miss Williams, hold on. Who is AP?
I don't know, but they're in the waiting room. Miss Williams, Debbie.
Yes.
Who's three? Let me see. 3, 4.
That's me. Amy. That's Amy 9998. That's Amy.
Okay, 1 second. So we have Fred, Warren. Okay. Okay. Should I dismiss myself? Can I go get a snack?
No, because we can't.
No, actually, I need you there because remember, I need you to put up the document.
We gotta take notes.
Notes.
And why should you eat when we can't?
Okay. All right. So I want to thank all the members of the executive committee, and again, thank you for all your service throughout this year. I really appreciate every one of you. So one of the final things we've been working on is earlier this year, we were able to actually do a performance review, and we were able to authorize a salary adjustment and office title change for Mia. So in reviewing the office, I think one of the things that's fair and also due is an actual salary adjustment for Khalid as well. So So what we've done is we've gone and we've enlisted the information from other community groups as well with the community system title. So one of the things we were able to do is create an employee tasking standards.
I just put it in the chat, I believe.
Okay.
I put the
Can
tasking standards are there.
Can everybody see the chat?
If you're on your computer, open up the chat at the bottom, and it's
Do you
there.
send it privately or do you send it to everybody?
How do we get it on the
Oh,
phone?
shoot, hold on, sorry guys, I surely sent it, hold on,
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
hold on.
You might make Khalid nervous.
No, he's in the waiting room too.
That's my point.
Okay. Mia, are you able to share it or?
Yeah, I'm opening it now.
Perfect.
Do you guys see it?
No.
For those of us on the phone, how do we share it?
No, we'll read it out to you as well so that we'll have it. But we can send you a copy.
Oh.
But ultimately, Ms. Williams, what we've done is we created, so all city employees are supposed to have what they call tasks and standards. So basically, it's a document to define what your responsibilities are.
Okay.
And we use that document when we actually do your performance review to say, well, listen, if this was your job, how well do you do your job?
Does everyone else see the tasking standards in the chat?
No,
I'm
not in the chat.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna download it now.
Yeah.
Are the members of the executive, do you want to review the tasking standards?
I'm not really, just go ahead and talk.
Okay. Well, what we can do is we can actually send it. Well, Debbie, did you have?
Debbie, let me
unmute Debbie?
Hold on, ma'am. Hold on.
You can send me it to me via email that I could take a look at it.
I think my button is dying. This button on the side. Okay, Debbie. You can see everyone's good?
Can you hear us, Debbie?
What is his current title?
Community assistant.
Assistant, yeah.
Community assistant.
Community assistant currently, yes.
Another community associate.
No, he's not an associate.
Can I say something?
Of course, Evelyn.
Hold on, guys. One at a time. Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Yes, what I wanted to say, I don't have to say it now because the chair has just mentioned that I was going to ask about Khalid because I know he's been there for a while. He's been very helpful, very astute with his work. And I was going to ask if and when can he get a raise to make him feel even a little bit more better and important to do the job that he has been doing so well. But I just heard the chair said that that's been looked into, right? That he's going to get a raise?
That's what we're going to discuss right now.
Right. So now that you said that, I don't have to prolong the conversation. I'll just look forward to Khalid getting a raise so that we can uplift him a little higher, give him more work to do, and encourage him in doing that. Thank you so much for that.
Actually, I discussed that with Fred a while ago. I don't know if you remember, but.
Right, no, this has been a conversation for a while, and I apologize. It's something, we just got caught up with a bunch of things.
Okay.
But we definitely want to make sure we do this. It's something that's only right and appropriate. And I definitely agree in terms of Khalid has been a valued member of this focus team.
Yes.
And we want to take the opportunity, and especially while we have the opportunity as well, to make the salary adjustment so that he's being adequately compensated for the work he does.
Okay.
And also give him incentives in terms of even, getting even better as well.
Yes.
So what we can do is we can share out the employee tasking standards to the executive committee, so you'll have a copy so you can view that as well.
Okay.
But ultimately, if you could do this is really the meat and potatoes of what we're looking at this evening. Mia, can you open up the salary resolution?
Sure. One moment.
Are you looking to move him from to community associates?
No, not yet. What we did is we did
give him a raise.
We did give him a raise.
No. Why not?
I'm not sure. Well, I wasn't sure it was warranted at this point. And we did have room.
I think he should. I mean,
If he's assistant, sorry, go ahead, Debbie.
I don't see a reason why not.
Yeah, Debbie, why don't you read the
Can I
resolution
just chime in?
first?
Can I just chime in very quickly since I'm the one that actually works directly with him? I think
Right.
that the raise is a good incentive and a starting point for Khalid to reevaluate and better himself. And I think that moving to community associate is definitely something that should be done for him, but that we have to set some standards and see if they can be adhered to before we make that move. I feel like you reward something before the work is done.
Hi, it's Juan. Can I add something here?
Yeah.
You know, Khalid has not had the proper management over the last couple of years. And Khalid is a good kid. He seems to be actively interested.
Good young man.
Yes. And what Fred is doing through discussions with Mia is to set parameters so there's a measurement of his productiveness.
Right.
As you'll see that the raise will be very healthy.
Right.
But the reality is now with the new management of the board, we're effectively taking the responsibility to train him and to see if he can meet those standards. My opinion, he will meet those standards. But the most important thing here is that those standards were set by Mia and Fred. And as Mia pointed out before, she works with him day to day. We have all seen things that he has not done successfully and he has done successfully. So instead of making a decision based on that, I think it's very generous that he is, number one, giving a healthy raise, and number two, us taking the responsibility to help focus him on how to be an effective community assistant. Thank you.
Right.
Okay.
And again, none of this is a slight towards him. I think what we wanted to do is definitely make sure that from a money standpoint, he gets what he deserves. And I think that, we're really giving him that. But at the same time, it's a matter of a growth trajectory for him too as well, where I want him to be hungry. I want him to want to move up. I want him to have a target in terms of his next goal will be to do this, as opposed to he got more money and he got a title and he's just going to hang out at the title for a few years and just take whatever raises.
Okay.
I think this is an opportunity for him to grow professionally. And I have every confidence he can do it as well, especially given the additional support that we're going to give and guidance we're going to give him.
Yeah, but we also can't penalize him because he hasn't had that support. That board hasn't had that type of support for many moons. So,
Debbie is
without saying.
This is rewarding him with a very.
I don't think that he's been penalized because of the board, and he's not been penalized for anything. I think he and I have had conversation.
Because of what I just heard.
No, Debbie, that's not the case. That's not what I was saying. What I was saying is that he has a lot of potential.
Make yourself clear. Otherwise, it's.
No, Debbie, let me talk, okay? And I'll make myself very clear.
You go
ahead. Okay, that he has been given a raise in appreciation of what he has done. All right? Being knowledgeable managers, we've identified that he hasn't been trained properly. Okay? And then number three, as I said, we've accepted the responsibility through Mia, Fred, myself, you, Francesca, Evelyn, to train him. So is that clear?
Well, since you're just saying that.
I said it before.
Right. And the point is, I think.
No, he did.
The last part you did.
Hold on.
He did. I heard that. He did.
And if I could add this, I just want to make sure I'm very clear as well. There is nothing about this meant to be punitive. And truly, I think once we give him support and we give him guidance and everything else, I think this can really be a different conversation within the next year and a half, where it's like, you know what, we do need to bump him up to a higher title. But I think we should give him that goal first in terms of master this. And once you demonstrated, with the appropriate support, you're a master of this, now we move you on to the next level. Yeah. But I think it was definitely important for us to give him at least the money up front, because he definitely earned that money.
Okay. So can we know how much money?
Well, if we can bring up can you bring up the salary resolution? We'll go right through it right now.
It's there.
Read it out and if you're comfortable.
Yeah, I posted it 5 minutes ago. It's there.
Where?
It's in
Where?
the chat.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you
Salary
could share it,
increase.
well,
Yeah, I thought you was gonna share it.
Why don't you just tell us?
I can't see it, so you gotta share it.
yeah, we'll have to
I
read
guess
it
you
out.
have to read it out for Ms. Williams.
Yeah, read it out.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Ryan.
Sure.
please.
Read it
Okay.
out to the people, Mr. Chair.
All right, so I'll read it out. So the resolution, so it's Community Board 9 Brooklyn, resolution for salary increase for Khalid Nixon. So whereas one of the functions of the Community Board is the establishment of the district office for the receipt and processing of service complaints, meeting with agency representatives in the district service cabinet and other functions is mandated by the charter. Whereas professionalism and dedication is required for the effective and efficient operation of the CB9 district office. Whereas Mr. Khalid Nixon was hired by Community Board 9 as a community assistant in January 2017. Whereas Mr. Nixon has been instrumental in the proper operation and function of the district office. Whereas Mr. Nixon has provided conscientious and quality service to the residents of the community. Whereas Mr. Nixon is a respected and highly regarded employee of Board 9. Whereas tasks and standards have been developed to better define the expectations of the community assistant title of the CB9 office. Whereas there currently are sufficient funds in the personal services budget for salary adjustments for district office staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Community Board 9 authorize a salary increase to $40,000 per annum for Mr. Khalid Nixon. This increase should be retroactive to September 1st, 2019, and will be enacted pursuant to the satisfaction of all administrative requirements of the Office of the Brooklyn Borough President, the Office of Management and Budget, the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and any other relevant agencies. So proposed June 16th.
June 6th. May
So that
I
is-
ask what the previous salary was, if it's possible that I ask that? No?
I believe it was between 33 and 34.
Okay.
Okay.
In essence, it's a 17% raise over, he has been working for us, I think, 3 years. And so that represents about a little under 6% per annum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what it does is that salary increase brings him to the top of his, I believe, near the top of his
Range.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His
from the
range.
assistant title,
I
yes.
can't think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will bring him to the top of his range in the title. So really, and again, I think the incentive is, listen, for more, if you produce, you get more, you get the community assistant, community associate title. You'll get whatever raises come with that as well. So those will be a part of the incentive for him to move up. And also, like I said, I think I'm just more interested in him developing.
Yeah.
As a manager, I'm one of those people, I never believe that I need to keep him forever. I want to make sure
Exactly.
he has the tools and the skills so that way if he wants to stay, he can do it. But hopefully he says, you know what, thank you, CB9 at one point, and I've gone on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
So I say we give him his money up front, we give him the tools to move up, move on, whenever he's ready to do that.
You know, to sum up this, I think that we need to give him a livable wage as well as give him objectives to meet for his development.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, so with that being said, are there any questions? Any other in readiness?
Not on my
No,
part.
not really. I think that's good. It's a good start, and I think it's very encouraging. And we just have to work with colleague. All of us have to work with him to train him, bring him up to where
Make
he
him
needs
better,
to be
yeah.
higher. Yes. So this is
That's our
good.
job.
Yeah.
I call the question.
That, I have a question. Is that
Yes.
did you guys check to make sure that that's the salary range for that type?
Yes, we did look at that. We did look at that. So now, and I will share this, the only catch here is that we've been having conversations with OMB because they've been doing something funny in terms of retroactive raises. Because we previously approved a retroactive raise in September, and they denied that, saying that policy was they don't do retroactive raises.
Of course they
After
do.
a few conversations. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the things we're trying to make sure we do is get that retroactive to September 19th. And we also have that same challenge with Mia, so I'm having conversations with OMB to say, okay, well, listen, you show me the paperwork that says we can't do it. And if not, if they can't produce it, we're going to do it. We're going to just make sure we spend that money if they get that money.
So he will get his retroactive from which month?
Starting when?
September,
Yeah.
to the beginning of the fiscal year, September.
Well, we don't know
Well,
yet.
not the beginning, but to September of 2019.
Yeah, first
Okay.
negotiating.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Before we move out of session, Ms. Williams, I know when you go back to
can
the
vote
other
on
side,
this.
muted. So I just want
didn't-
to say I love you, and it's good to hear your voice.
Can you repeat that again, please? I didn't hear you. I got distracted for a minute. I'm sorry.
I said
she
before we
loves you.
move back to the main session, I know we'll be muted. So I just want to tell you that I love you and I miss you. It's good to hear your voice.
I love you too, and I miss you too, and I love hearing your voice, and I love hearing everybody's voice. I'm so happy that we're all well. And Mr. Fred, I know you're still in that place, but I don't say much about it. Prayers and love is with you and with everyone. So we just hope that everyone stays safe. And thank you guys for putting up with me for all this time.
Thank you, Evelyn.
It's not putting up with you. You've been a member of this team. You've been there. You've been a warrior for years. I appreciate you.
She's my favorite board member. Come on.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Somebody mute Warren, please.
It's not
Somebody mute Warren,
only
please.
He's done.
Okay. So that being said, so the question's been called. So all those in favor of moving this recommendation to the board for a full board for a vote, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
Fran,
abstentions?
you got your hand up. Fran knows all the Zoom functions.
I just want to state one thing for the record.
Hilarious.
Just hold on one second. We have a quorum. We have 5 members out of 7 present.
Correct,
So
yes.
just for our
Yeah, actually,
meeting.
for the minutes, can we record that it was a unanimous decision of all the members present?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay.
8:58.
All right.
All
Okay.
right.
So
I am going
yeah,
to.
if we can go back. So now, when we go back, what we're going to do is we're going to actually do this vote again in open session. So that way it's recorded that this is a unanimous vote and we're moving to resolution 4. Okay. So I'll
Right,
get somebody to.
The language would just
Go
be
ahead.
generic, right? It would just be a personnel matter, or you just.
No, it's going to be public soon enough.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but don't we
This
have
is
to
a
put-
recommendation from the board. It's going to be a public matter.
Right, are we gonna talk about money?
In terms of,
The amount of raise we're giving him?
Yeah.
it's going to be a public matter. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
Public. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to define that.
Okay.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Debbie.
I have,
You know,
I have a statement that I want to make. I need for you guys to include me in your money discussions because I'm always out of the loop. So moving forward, so just so you guys know,
No, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
just so you guys
Moving
know,
forward,
because I will bring it up.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
you know,
listen, it probably won't be an issue in the future because we're not going to have any money.
yeah, just so you guys know. 'Cause it
I'm
happens
on it.
No, point taken. Absolutely.
Okay.
I
All right, Mia,
also I also want to say that as Mia as the office manager, and then you as the chair, and Warren as the first vice chair, and certain things that you'll discuss, and I think that after it's discussed and you'll come to an understanding, the body of the executive should come together and put to them, so we already know what's happening.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, and this is something that, and this has been a learning process for me as well, and as a chair, I intend to do better, and I really going to lean on you a lot more in terms of bringing you in a lot earlier to these decisions.
Right.
Okay. But I do appreciate everyone. I appreciate everyone's input in your viewpoint.
And you're doing a fine job, Chair.
Thank you.
Course you
Thank
are.
you.
And
Of course
and
you are.
Mayor, yes, and Mayor, you're doing an excellent job.
Oh yeah. We don't
Excellent.
want anybody else but Mia.
No. No.
Gotta go. No.
Okay, Mia. Yeah, okay, so I think we're ready. We can exit executive session. Oh, hold on. So I'll entertain a motion to exit executive session.
Motion to exit executive executive session.
Second.
Yes. You know I mean.
That's Leopold.
Second.
And second by Ms. Williams. Okay, time's 9:01, okay.
All
We
right,
just need
I'm
that.
I'm gonna admit from the waiting room. We only have 6 people waiting around to get in.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, here they come. Okay, everyone that was in the waiting room is back. Well, no, it says Amy Pinkerton is joining. She's in the process of joining.
Okay.
Oh gosh, with the music outside.
Okay, Mia, just let me know when everyone's back in.
Yeah, everyone's back in, but Miss Pinkerton, it keeps saying joining, but she's not yet. Okay, well, it may be her connection because someone came in right behind her, was able to join immediately.
Okay, we'll go in and if she's able to join as well. Okay, so the executive committee is exiting executive session at 9:01 p.m. We have the following resolution, which is discussed, and we're going to vote on it in open session. So the following resolution for salary increase for Khalid Nixon, and the resolution reads as follows. Whereas one of the functions of the community board is the establishment of a district office for the receipt and processing of service complaints, meeting with agency representatives in the district service cabinet, and other functions as mandated by the charter. Whereas professionalism and dedication is required for the effective and efficient operation of the CV9 district office. Whereas Mr. Khalid Nixon was hired by Community Board 9 as a community assistant in January 2017. Whereas Mr. Nixon has been instrumental in the proper operation and function of the district office. Whereas Mr. Nixon has provided conscientious and quality service to the residents of the community. Whereas Mr. Nixon is a respected and highly regarded employee of CV9. Whereas tasks and standards have been developed to better define the expectations of the community assistant title in the CV9 district office. Whereas there are currently sufficient funds in the personal services budget for salary adjustments for the district office staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the members of Community Board 9 authorize a salary increase to $40,000 per annum for Mr. Khalid Nixon. This increase should be retroactive to September 1st, 2019, and it will be enacted pursuant to the satisfaction of all administrative requirements of the Office of the Borough, Brooklyn Borough President, the Office of Management and Budget, the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and any other relevant agencies. I'll entertain a motion by the Executive Committee to adopt the resolution.
I so move to accept the resolution on behalf of Khalid Nixon.
I second it.
Moved by Ms. Leopold, seconded by Ms. Williams. I'll entertain, unless there's any unreadiness, I'll entertain a vote. All those members of the Executive Committee in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're waiting for Mr. Burke. Mr. Burke is trying to unmute himself.
I said aye.
Okay.
Waiting for your vote, Mr. Burke.
Oh wait, I have to mute myself. Hold on.
You're unmuted. Go ahead, sir.
I'm unmuted. I say yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All those opposed? Any abstention? By unanimous vote of the Executive Committee, the resolution is passed and will be presented to the full board at the general meeting next week, Wednesday. All right. And with that, that concludes my chairman's report. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda. To set the agenda for the June 2020 general board meeting. proposed agenda will include public session. Mia, are there any presentations for the meeting?
882 Nostrand Avenue.
882 Nostrand Avenue? Okay, no, that's an SLA license, right? Are there any presentations scheduled? Anybody supposed to speak?
There's no additional presentations to my knowledge. It is just the one application coming out of public safety.
Okay, so I see SLA license approvals. We will then have public commentary. We will then have acknowledgements. We will then have open the business session, go to business session. Next item will be the roll call. Next item that will be the approval of the minutes. Then we will have committee reports. Debbie, will you have a treasurer's report as well?
Stated that in my report.
I'm sorry?
I stated that in my report.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for reminding us. There'll also be a report from the treasurer. We will have the chairman's report. We will have voting items, which will include the adoption of the resolution. We will have old business, new business, and adjournment as the final item. Are there any items that we need to add to that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Is there any, I'm sorry, I'm just a little, I just want some clarity on if there's anything that's coming out of the transportation meeting based on the community, the things that we need, especially the speed bumps and everything that we want done in the community. Is there any word on that will be presented at the meeting?
Not to my knowledge. Warren, do you know anything about transportation? Is there anything coming out of that meeting?
I don't think he's there.
No, but I read some follow-up emails that came out of DOT. They're still assessing the district for the Open Streets Initiative, but no decisions have been made as of yet. But no presentations, and then it's just the ongoing project on Empire Boulevard.
Okay, because we want to get some sort of explanation when it comes to the street bumps, because I'm not going to rest. It is because it's unacceptable for 3 years, that this year would be 4 years since the applications were put in. And I really didn't like what the attitude of the lady who at the meeting, because we have on Lefferts Avenue from Nostrand, I could say from New York, but I'll say from Nostrand to Rogers, there are speed bumps. Rogers to Bedford, there are speed bumps there, and they did meet the requirements and they put in the speed bumps. And we have had several accidents from Bedford to Washington, and cars being knocked out of their way. People are racing down there. And I think that they're more concentrating on making money on the community than anything else. Because initially, I was told that it was approved for the speed bump, and then it was rescinded. And then they said, okay, they're looking to put cameras there. We don't need cameras. We need the speed bumps because the drivers are racing. And I told the lady that in light of that, the residents on the block, they'll be sending letters to them and they'll be calling the office. And she's like, oh, well, you all could call or send letters if you all want, but the decision is already made. And she didn't say, well, I'm going to look into it and bring it back to the table. You know, so I would really like that addressed, because the people on the block, they have been calling and they have been sending me text messages, because the people on that block, they see everything that's happening. And whenever there's an accident, they will call me and talk to me about it. And I told them, look, the community board is on it, and the application has gone in. We have a number and everything. It's just a matter that they have to come and they just to survey the place to see as to when. And this is 4 years. Under the 4th year, they're saying that it was not approved. So it's unacceptable, and I would really like it to be addressed.
Okay, but you know what, let's take that up through the district office. So if there's any complaints, they can resolve it from that end. So, I mean, unless there's a committee report or, you know, so if there's any committee report, unless there are any action items from the committee report, they can do that and we can vote on anything as required from the floor if we need to. But in terms of the agenda, are there any other items that need to be added to the agenda?
I have a question.
Yes.
A request.
Yes, sir.
Is anyone gonna be at the board office in the next few days?
I'll be there, and I believe Khalid will be there. Some days we'll be there waiting for delivery, so yes.
Okay, so what I need is copies of all of the invoices.
We haven't received any invoices yet. We've just begun to receive deliveries. We'll probably have invoices.
Anything from March, April?
Oh, you want copies of older stuff? Yeah, I can make copies for you.
Yeah, because I don't know what, so I need copies of those.
Okay.
Okay.
So.
I can scan those over and email them to you.
Huh?
I can scan those over and email.
I need copies. I can.
Oh, you want physical copies? Okay, so I can make physical copies for you. You can pick them up.
Yeah, just let me know.
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so let's just conclude on this item. So are there any other items to be added to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda stated.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Leopold. Okay, all right, so we're gonna call the question. All those in favor, all those, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the vote is unanimous. The agenda is adopted for the general board meeting on the 24th.
Congratulations, Mr. Nixon.
Okay.
Yay!
Thank you. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
Well,
right,
that's open for the full board. Let's not get happy yet.
I know, right?
Yes,
I'm not
yes.
counting my chickens just yet. I understand.
All right, but moving on. So is there any other business? Item number 6, any other business? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Ms. Williams. Do I have a second?
Nobody else is there than Mr. Williams, and I second.
Ms. Leopold, second.
I think Warren's away.
I love you too, my darling.
Well, all those in favor? Well, let's make it official. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Miss Timothy.
Aye. All right, all those opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, we now stand adjourned. The time is now 9:14 p.m. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening and for all the work you've done throughout this year. It's been my honor and privilege to serve as your leader. Thank you so much. And everyone be safe.
And thank you,
Yes.
Fred. In fact,
Thank you, guys. And the days that is changed from the 23rd to the 24th, let us use that wisely and get to our neighbors and remind them that they should get out and vote.
Absolutely.
exactly. And
Please do.
I think based on Fred's performance this past year, I certainly endorse him for chair.
Totally unsolicited speech. There we go, I like that.
No, it's true.
Yeah. I second that, Warren.
Yes, we all second that,
Good.
Fred. I mean, Mr. Burke.
All right, everyone. Take care.
Have a good
Now,
night,
Nora, we see
everybody.
you. Thank you for joining.
Have a good night.
Good hearing,
Listen.
good hearing you.
Be safe,
Love you.
everyone.
All right, see
Good
you
night,
at the special meeting tomorrow.
Love you
Okay.
guys. Yes.
Same time, same place, guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye. And
So
thanks for all the
tomorrow, same
residents.
place, same time tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but
Thank you both
they're
for
probably different codes.
Okay. All right.
Different
Good
links,
night.
yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Night. Night. Night.
Bye.